Glowing. And we have two other beautiful glowing ladies with us here today. We are so happy to welcome again, because you've been on before, Towanda and Trina Braxton. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Hi. So it's very exciting. We have Braxton Family Values, which is coming back on Thursday, November 5th on WeTV at 9. And it's going to be, such a fascinating season. So much to cover. The family has been through a lot, both great and not so great this year.
Right.
And so it should be like a season that you just can't miss. Ladies, can you just give us a little, like an overview, and then we'll dive into some of the specifics of what's gone on with the family?
This season, we're basically going back to season 1 of Braxton Family Values. There's a lot of fun. We're bonding together. There's a lot of laughter. We're making up more songs. I mean, it's just, this season is just filled with amazing situations. And also, you're going to see some dramatic things as well. But there's real life for Braxton Family Values, and we're just excited about this season.
Well, I bet you are, and we are happy that that you're back and that Tamar is doing better.
Yes.
Because of course, she's talked about it. She had a suicide attempt. She was suffering from depression. And how deeply is the season going to cover that? I mean, it's a huge event that happened.
Yeah, it's huge, but we only just touch on it just a little bit, just to get the elephant out of the room. We definitely talk about how it affected us, but we don't dive into the deep-seated situations that occurred, because we were very sensitive to where Tamar is mentally and emotionally, and we want to respect her by allowing her to tell her own truth, her own story.
Yes, in her own way, because she has to be ready to reveal the ins and outs of how she's feeling and how she's coping, and how real mental health is, and how necessary it is for people to seek help. And it does not help her healing process if it's constantly in her face, and she has to be able to tell it the way she needs to tell her story.
Was mental health discussion in your family, just kind of growing up and kind of destigmatized, do you feel like, or do you feel like they're within your family, was it not much of a discussion?
In the past, we didn't really talk about mental health as much. And I think that, growing up back in the day, it was a bit taboo to talk about mental awareness and mental health and the stability of mental, where people are mentally. I think now, thank God that we're in a different age, that we can talk about it freely and not walk in fear or feel ashamed about it.
Yeah, because growing up, a lot of times, and I guess we're a little older, our generation, you know what I mean? Because, growing up, your parents always said, oh, you don't tell what's going on in our house, you keep what's going on with you to yourself, and there's always, this whole stigma of having to not be able to talk to people because you don't want people to know your family business or what's happening, because it's not for the world to know. But in this society and the way things has changed with all these social mediums, everybody's talking about, okay, I just got a Pepsi. So it just makes it easier, to talk about what's happening in your life, and it makes it easier to reach other people because of these new social mediums. However, with Tamar right now, I think she feels like she wants to mend in silence until she is ready, and right now she's not.
Yeah, I feel like
I have to give her kudos though, because she has spoken out and she has said that it is so important to take care of yourself when you are feeling depressed, and that mental health and issues with it shouldn't be a stigma.
Right.
That's right.
I agree with that. And I also will say that I think that as a whole, we need to make sure we pay attention to our close friends and family members who say certain things. Like if they say that they're sad all the time, if they're laying in the bed all the time, and there's something about that. There's something behind that. So make sure you guys take care of each other and ask questions, ask those hard questions, even if you feel uncomfortable, to make sure that everyone's okay around you. And it's okay to get help.
Yeah, and not just that, Towanda. If I could piggyback on that, always check on your well friends, the ones who seemingly have everything together, the ones who
Right.
never have anything wrong, or it just seems like every time you see them, everything just seems to be so perfect. Check on them, especially because a lot of times people put on a facade that all is well because they don't want that public persona that things aren't great. Maybe their marriage isn't great, or maybe they're going through something troublesome with their children, but they still want to put on the facade that, oh, everything's so wonderful in our home. Check on your well friends, definitely.
Right. The strong ones, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And I think that Tamar too, to heal in private, so then she can kind of come out in public, like, the phoenix rising from the ashes, and be able to help people even better because she herself has healed, I think is a really incredible thing, and something that people don't take the time to do when they are in the public light, because they feel like they need to show their story. And
Correct.
I commend her for that.
Yeah, and I think that, a lot of people don't, a lot of people just in general don't want to admit to depression or don't really understand it and just think, oh, it's the blues. I've got the blues. But I mean, depression is so much more serious than that. It's not something that you can shake off and that you can talk yourself out of. And I also think, I think we've heard that during what we're going through with COVID and people having to be quarantined and just separate, like we're not interacting as much in person, that also contributes to feelings of isolation.
I agree with that because unfortunately, well, there's two sides of the story when it comes to COVID. Sometimes it's a positive and then it's a negative. And then part of it is that you have been able to sit with yourself, and sometimes sitting with yourself, you have to deal with yourself. And in dealing with yourself, sometimes you realize that you're not in the space that you wanted to be in. And like I said, it's so important that, you seek the necessary help when you go through those moments and you can't pull yourself out of it.
How's the Braxton family been able to see each other, to film even in this situation? How have you managed that?
It's been quite
At first,
challenging.
it was very difficult. go ahead, one.
No, Trina, go ahead. I was going to say it's been quite challenging. And I will say that there was a moment, I was having separation anxiety when it came to being around my family. And Trina does this thing on every Tuesday that's called the 4 o'clock rock, which she makes amazing cocktails. Okay. And I'm like, I can't be around her right now because everyone's quarantined. And honest to God, when she did the whole thing live, I got in my car and I drove to her house. I said, Trina, I'm outside. I need for you to put this cocktail outside. And she actually literally put the cocktail outside for me. And that was that filled me up to be able to at least see her in person. Although I wasn't able to hug her and do all those things because everyone was quarantined, but I got my cocktail.
And I want my carafe back.
Never.
By the way.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it must be hard. There are so many families that are separated. We've seen the Kardashians have self-filming. Did you guys film at home and do like self-tapes at all, or was everything kind of done pre-quarantine?
No, the wedding was done pre-COVID, thank God.
Thank God.
That would have been a whole disaster because it was already a disaster anyway. But that was done pre-COVID, and then after COVID really started to hit, we attempted to do the whole self-filming thing to no avail. And then thank God, with the airports opening back up, and us being able to work in the new guidelines, we were able to film together. So we've been through all stages of COVID filming.
Yes.
And how did you do that? How were you able to film together? Did you all have tests? Did you all quarantine ahead? The crew quarantine?
Yes.
All of that. We took tests like every 2 days. We took tests for COVID, and the whole crew had to take the tests, and we were quarantined for a few days prior to us being able to come together. But I was really thankful that we were able to come together and do some things together. That was a lot of fun.
Well, we're really happy you're able to do that safely and that we have a season. And now, Trina, you just said, thank goodness that we got that the wedding was it was December, was it?
It was December, yes.
Yep, in December. So before this all hit, because it's already a disaster anyway. Now, tell us, what was the disaster? What were the
Oh,
disasters?
you guys are not going to, you can't write this stuff. I mean, I've had several cake catastrophes.
Oh God, yes.
My flowers never showed up.
Mm-mm.
And then when I tried to call them afterwards, doo-doo-doo, like,
Oh, no.
it was just a whole mess.
Yeah.
But the good part about it is that we both showed up and said, I will. So,
Yes, the key players
that's
showed
what
up.
we-
How did you keep your cool?
What? I'm still not cool. What do you mean? It's like, I relive
No.
it again.
Oh my gosh.
Well, at least you proved that you could get married without the flowers.
Yes.
Definitely can. Definitely can.
Love. You know, and I think that, you know, we saw it in the trailer and you guys can probably tease it a little bit, but I know that the sisters, you guys had to kind of put some differences aside for
Mhm.
wedding day to
Mhm.
just kind of, you know, all be. How did you do that? How did you kind of make amends?
Well, it just came natural, because of course, when it comes to a wedding, who's not happy during that time, And then the bachelorette party just makes it even better. We had so much fun at Trina's bachelorette party. I mean, there was a few hiccups and glitches, but all in all, we had a very, very
Yes, we
good time.
did.
Because I planned it, and it was so much fun. It was amazing. Everybody had a great time. It was great.
It's not about
Trina,
you.
you had fun.
My bachelorette
Trina,
party
you
is
had
not
fun.
about you. My
No, I'm just
bachelorette
saying.
party is not about you, Towanda.
No, I'm just glad that I was able to put it together. That's all I'm saying. And then you had fun. That's what matters, is that you had the time of your life and your sisters were there and we
Yes.
bonded and it was amazing.
Yes.
We had great cocktails. Yeah.
Yes.
And are we going to see some of the bachelorette party in the season?
You definitely will.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did, Trina?
Like
How does
specifics?
Towanda speak the truth that you had fun?
It was a blast.
Okay.
It was a huge blast. Towanda had me drinking out of all kinds of different straws.
Yes.
And you just have to watch and just get your girlfriends together and make some Cosmos and just watch and have a
it's
great
fun.
time.
And now at the wedding, didn't somebody lose a ring? Did the ring come back?
Oh yeah. Tamara lost her ring at the wedding, but I think she found it.
At my wedding?
You.
That's see, you see how much stuff that we kept it from her because it was her day. Those are the things that we as sisters, we're supposed to protect her from the wedding. So she had no idea.
Well, and then Trina, as you said, you've
Wait,
made it now for
I know.
10 months. Oh, you're still on the ring.
Because she didn't know. We didn't tell her. We didn't want to stress
Call
her
me
out at all whatsoever from the wedding.
me
So
after.
we kept that from her, but
me
the ring was finally, it was found. We just kept it from her because it was her day. She's not supposed to be stressed. And that's our duty as sisters to make sure that she's not stressed on her special day. And we did a great job. See?
Obviously, yes.
Look at
She's just
that.
learning about it.
Now, when you guys, sisters obviously fight. We've seen you guys fight. We've seen one sister be on the outs. We've seen, your mom. Do you always know that you'll make up in the end, or sometimes are you unsure if things could come back together?
We know eventually we'll get to that point where we can get back to our sisterhood, but just like in any relationship, sisterhood or friendship, you're going to have your moments where you want to be by yourself and you don't feel like talking to that individual. But the root of the Braxton family values is love. We love each other extremely hard, and we always come back to that.
But when you're mad, you're mad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the show, if we're filming, someone might say something and you're like, for real, did you say that? And then next thing you know, it spilled over after the cameras are off because it's a real situation and we're family for real. Mm-hmm. Then you get mad and you're like, I'm not talking to you until we film again tomorrow, whatever. But right now, I don't even say to you because I don't like what you did. I don't like what you said. And that's a real thing. It's a real family thing. It's a real friendship thing. It's like, sometimes it just spills over. It just does.
Because we have to take everything home with us. It's not like a put together cast.
Yes,
you know,
we
we're
do.
family, and we still have to deal with everything that happens on Braxton Family Values, the good, the bad, or the indifferent.
And so if something happens that you are upset about, or you have a fight about, did we just lose Trina?
This Trina has her
You didn't
internet
lose
is
me.
her
You didn't lose
internet.
me.
So
Your
do
internet.
you have to wait until the next day when you're filming again to deal with it? Or is it that you don't feel like talking about it and you're kind of then forced because you're going to film, you have to discuss it?
It depends on how deep the cut
Yes,
was.
Yes.
It depends on how deep. Sometimes after we film, we take a moment with each other to say, hey, let's sit down together and just talk about what happened. Or there are moments where like, I don't want to talk about this, and maybe we address it the next day when we're filming, or maybe we address it a few days after we're filming, but it definitely gets addressed, but sometimes it takes a little time.
Yeah, because sometimes you're still mad.
Still.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to know, like, these things are real. It's not
Yes.
like it's, because people always wonder on reality show, is it really reality? Is it staged? So
Right.
it's good to know these things are real.
Sure.
For sure.
And so Trina, how would you describe your marriage the first 10 months? You've made it. Is it bliss?
You know,
Made it.
the crazy. No, it wasn't at first. Because during COVID, you guys will see this on the show. Our mom lives about an hour away from each of us, and there was a time when there was some civil unrest going on in downtown Atlanta, and we didn't want our mom to be by herself.
Right.
So mom came and she stayed with me and my husband.
The newlyweds.
So for the first few months of our marriage, our mom was staying with us, and one time, and if it's TMI, let me know. One night, my husband shushed me because mommy was still, because my mom was staying here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort
I'm
of.
a newlywed. Can we focus?
She's putting a damper, I assume, on your sex life.
Just a small one. Yeah. So no, it wasn't bliss at first, but now it is, and we are enjoying each other quite a bit.
How out of all the sisters did your mom end up with you? Like, did you flip a coin?
No,
I have two small kids, so well, not
plenty of
small.
teenagers.
I mean, not small, but like they're 13 and 14 years old. So mommy was like, well, Trina doesn't have any young kids, so I'm gonna go stay with Trina.
Yeah,
But
she only has a new
know-
husband.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you're both grown, so.
Yeah.
That makes no sense, Towanda. That makes zero sense.
To me, it does.
No, it doesn't. That doesn't make sense. Did it make sense to you guys? No.
Yes, it did.
I'm not getting
Absolutely.
No.
that. Is
Well, we're glad to hear, though, she's out of your house and that you're enjoying each other.
Yes.
Well, ladies, we thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you.
today.
Thank you.
And we are all looking forward to Braxton Family Values, which will be on WeTV starting November 5th. That's a Thursday at 9 p.m. And we're so glad that Tamar is doing better and that the family is